not new to India. I think more than 100 years we have the cooperatives in the country. And comes with that kind of a business orientation, and hopefully addressing some of the shortcomings of the existing large cooperative system that we have in the country. So I also want to mention at the upfront that we at APMAS have been deeply involved with women's self-help groups, federations in the form of village organizations, cluster level federations. So in a way, our experience of working with self-help group, working with FPOs comes from building on the experience of the women self-help groups and federations. So in a way, institution building has been our mainstay for the past 19 years. And we have worked with the National Rural Livelihood Mission. We have worked with a number of state rural livelihood mission. And I think in the past few years, we have been focusing on natural resource management and the organizing of the farmers or farmers collectives. So in that sense, our experience is much more on building sustainable, self-reliant business organizations of the farmers. So maybe we can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So I guess everyone in the audience would know this, small and marginal farmers, and we have an agrarian crisis. Now, currently we are in the midst of the pandemic as well. Thankfully for us, during the pandemic, agriculture has done very well. But overall, the agrarian crisis has not gone away. And now we have these agriculture reforms in the form of 3 new bills that have just been passed by the parliament. And I think we are all still trying to understand to what extent they are beneficial to the farmers, and maybe small and marginal farmers, how they would be affected by these new bills. Yeah, the next slide, please. So I guess the development theory suggests, and the experience shows, that collectives can help, address the issues, or sometimes the economies of scale help, these smaller marginal farmers to, improve their situation. Yes, you can move to the next slide. So I think everyone here knows what a farmer producer organization is. It's a number of farmers coming together voluntarily. I think, this is where I would like to emphasize that FPO does not mean any kind of organizations. It is a farmers organization based on the foundation of the cooperative values and principles. So that's where, self-help, mutual benefit, self-responsibility, equality, equity, they all are of great significance if we would want farmer producer organizations to be self-reliant organizations. So these producers unite voluntarily to meet their common economic needs through jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. So it's an enterprise. So farmers organization is not a charitable organization. And those FPOs that are registered as a company, you have the cooperative values and principles, but under the company form. Yeah. The next one, please. So I guess this is something that, we keep talking about. FPOs are unique organizations simply because the owners are users. The owners are also governing the organization. So in a way, they perform broadly 4 or maybe 5 roles. They are owners because of shareholding. They pay the share capital. 2, they are also the users because the services offered by the FPO are used by the members. 3, they are board of directors. So in a way, they are governing the organization. Maybe the board of directors also have some control functions in the form of supervision or self-regulation system that we APMAs talk about a lot. And fourth, in the process, they will also kind of benefit from it in a larger sense, and the community in which they live in also benefit. So in a way, FPO is a business organization owned and used by members with the idea of maximizing the benefit or profit to the members, which is slightly different from or significantly different from a private company where profit maximization oftentimes becomes the most important goal. Yeah. Next one, please. So in APMAS, our vision is sustainable self-help movement. That means any self-help organizations, self-help groups, federations, farmers organizations, federations of farmers organizations. And we want to promote them as self-reliant organizations, which will provide value to their members. At the moment, we work with around 194 FPOs in the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Around 38 of the FPOs are promoted by us directly. The remaining FPOs, we are the resource support agency for NABARD. As you all know, that NABARD has what is known as a producer organization promoting institution. And each of those poppies or producer organization promoting institutions may promote one or more FPOs. So RSA is a resource support agency that provides incubation and mentoring support to these poppies and the FPOs. So other than the 38 that we promoted, the remaining are all, we are RSA or a resource support agency, both in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. At the moment, there are around 70,000 members in these organizations. And the membership ranges anywhere between 100 members to 2,000 plus. But on an average, I would say around 400 seems to be the membership of these farmers organizations. Yeah. Next, please. I just wanted to show you this particular slide, just to kind of highlight what we believe in as an organization. If we have to provide a wide range of services to the farmers organizations. And that's why APMAS has set up what we call as a FPO incubation center. So the FPO incubation center, a couple of years ago, we came up with this goal of reaching 100,000 farmers with around 100 FPOs. But as you already saw, we are already reaching 194 farmers. But hopefully not all those 194 farmers organizations will qualify to become self-reliant organizations. But in terms of our incubation services, broadly it has two categories. Category number one, what we call as institution development services, which means about visioning, about statutory compliances, about board of directors training, capacity building, CEOs training, in terms of their governance and management. Most importantly, again, in APMAS, we believe our core competence is in accounting, bookkeeping, financial management, and which we feel is one of the weaknesses of the existing FPOs. And we also would like to promote a system of self-regulation among the farmer producer organizations. So those are broadly the institution development services. The second set of services is business development services, which is about helping them develop business plans, have financial linkages, market linkages, also provide incubation support if they want to set up a primary processing center, a secondary processing center. So these are the range of services we offer to these 194 FPOs that I mentioned. Maybe at this stage, I would like to just highlight, maybe you can go to the next slide. Yeah, this is just a kind of an overview. Uh, at the moment, there are around 8,000 FPOs. But it's very important at this stage. I want to share with you maybe 4 or 5 important points about what are the problems faced by the FPOs. I think number one problem is many members who joined the FPO, the shareholders, they don't know why they joined because no orientation or capacity building for the general members have not been provided. In many FPOs that are promoted over the past 10 years, some orientation has been given to the board of directors, but not to the wider shareholders. The second problem, I think, a lot of times the FPO share capital paid is sitting in the bank account, but it's not put to use. I would be delighted if at least 30% of the FPOs optimally utilize the share capital mobilized from the members. And maybe the third issue is, are they reaching out with services to the members? Not many, so even if they're able to, through input supplies and output marketing, if they're able to service 30-40 members, that will be great. Of course, there are maybe 10% of the FPOs which are serving the membership more widely, but those are because of a number of external factors like the promoters' interest and multiple agencies engaged with them. Another problem I feel the FPOs currently suffer with is where they want to do business, input marketing and output marketing, is the capital. There are a number of agencies that provide capital, NAP Kisans, Samunnati Finance, FWWB, Ananya Finance, number of agencies. Now even some of the, in fact, recently, the Telangana State Cooperative Apex Bank has sanctioned a loan to the FPO. State Bank of India is going around to sanction loans. So I think there are a number of financing agencies, but finance is a big problem. I understand that NABARD recently has, sent a note to the Reserve Bank of India to issue guidelines, policy guidelines for FPO financing by banks. And more recently, the master circular that came out on priority sector lending also emphasized on FPO financing. So to that extent, it may improve. Another problem, particularly the FPOs that are registered under Producer Company Act, they suffered from legal compliance, lack of capacity for legal compliance, and it's also expensive, lots of penalties. In fact, one FPO recently I heard paid 3,66,000 rupees in penalty. Of course, on 31st March 2020, Government of India, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs issued a circular that FPOs can do all the all the backlogs in legal compliances without any penalties up to 30th September. So we are left with maybe 3 days from now. But legal compliances has been a challenge because the FPO is not fully aware of it. I think capacity, Vijay Mahajan always says this, capability and capital. So I think we need to look at what is the capability of the FPO to serve the members as per their aspirations, expectations. Second, do they have the capital to meet the service needs of the members? So in a way, I would say of the 8,000 FPOs that are there in the country today, maybe 1,000 of them may have some level of performance. Not perfect. I won't say they are A grade if they are rated, but some level of performance. Maybe nearly half of them after some years may not even exist. So I think as part of the new operational guidelines that have been issued by the Government of India, many of you may be aware that Government of India announced a central sector scheme, which means the financing would be 100% by Government of India. There is a bit of an issue on that because agriculture being a state subject, Government of India trying to do it completely by themselves with very limited role for state government has its own challenges. But under the new scheme of promoting 10,000 new FPOs, um, they also issued the operational guidelines for the implementation of the 10,000. The downside of that is there is no real mention of how the existing 8,000 FPOs will be capacitated, supported, mentored, coached, and the incubation that is necessary for them to become business organizations. So in a way, they are, also this transition from currently the FPO promoters are called either POPI or a resource institution or a resource support organization. In the new guidelines, they are called the cluster-based business organization. So I think how do you manage this transition? Because if you want the new FPOs to be promoted, 10,000 of them, then at least half of the 8,000 should be role models. They must have good governance, good management, good systems of accounting, bookkeeping, have linkages with the retail chains, have done some kind of collective marketing, some level of processing, so that the new FPO members are able to see them and learn from them. So I guess some of those issues that exist. But as per the new center sector scheme, there are now 4 designated implementing agencies: NABARD, the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development; SFAC, the Small Farmers Agri-Business Consortium; NCDC, the National Cooperative Development Corporation; and the 4th is the NAFED, the National Agriculture Cooperative Federation. So these are the 4 designated as implementing agencies. There are other agencies and state governments which could potentially become implementing agencies. And each of these implementing agencies are expected to select some cluster-based business organizations for the purpose of promoting FPOs. So in a way, the point I'm trying to make is it has taken some time for the FPO concept to gain traction. But today, I think they have gained a lot of prominence. There is visibility. Prime Minister talks about it, though chief ministers are not talking about it that much. There is a lot of talk about it by many other important players in the sector. But I think ensuring that the existing FPOs are able to show results and are able to provide services to the members to their satisfaction is going to be critically important for these 10,000 new FPOs to come up. Yeah, can we go on to the next slide? So, I mean, do you want any questions in between, or do we just continue?
We can continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. But if they do have any questions, maybe they can keep posting on the chat, and then or the Q&A.
Yes. If anyone wants to ask questions, please raise your hand in between so that I can unmute you after a short while, or else post your questions in your chat box or the Q&A section so that we can take up the entire question and answers at later stage. Thank you.
You know, there is another aspect I want to mention. This slide talks about the FPOs as value chain actors. In fact, what is envisaged is that the farmer producer organization is able to play a role along the entire value chain, from farm to fork or whatever that is, okay, so that they are able to realize the maximum value along the chain. And for that to happen, we need an ecosystem to be developed. When I say ecosystem, maybe the number one is the Reserve Bank of India's policy guideline for banks to finance FPOs. Number two state governments to put in policy for FPOs to get their licenses for seed, fertilizer, pesticide very quickly. Also, FPOs are recognized as agencies for implementing some of the important agriculture department schemes. Maybe number three, the ecosystem would also mean some kind of a facilitation support in terms of buyer-seller meet, so that the FPOs can negotiate with private companies and have partnerships for as a win-win model. Maybe number four, ecosystem is maybe we need a technology platform where the entire database of FPOs is housed, so that, and I guess capacity building and incubation support is a public good, and resources need to be made available. And I'm in a way glad that at least NABARD is taking some leadership role in that particular aspect. And also, I think experience over the past 10 years shows that FPOs don't become viable, sustainable in 3 years. No, it's not possible. We have seen that in even SHGs and federations. They don't become sustainable in 3 years. Maybe they take 5 to 7 years. So FPOs require some kind of a maintenance support, or, by the promoters and by the business incubation organizations for maybe a period of 5 to 7 years. So how do we maintain that conducive environment and support system is very important. I mentioned earlier, here again, what are the issues related to the FPOs in terms of the status? Compliances I already mentioned, particularly for FPOs which are registered under the Producer Company Act. In Andhra and Telangana, there are a large number of FPOs registered under the Mutually Aided Cooperative Societies Act. There, the kind of pressure is maybe a bit less. And also, there is no strategic advantage for them to be either registered as a company or max. I guess as of now, it's the same. The second I mentioned about capital, financial capital. I guess there is a huge amount of social capital available from the SHG movement, which is not tapped. I guess from APMAS's experience, we believe women have a critical role to play in farmer producer organizations. The moment we talk about FPOs, mostly we seem to think that it's men, because the land is in the name of man. But I think we need to really look at how do we ensure that the shareholders in the FPOs are women. If not 100%, APMAS promoted 8 FPOs, which are all women FPOs. And they're doing very well, I must say. The leadership is strong. The cohesion is very good. They take ownership. In fact, when I ask a lot of stakeholders, what is the problem with FPOs? They say, ownership is a problem. The members don't feel that the FPO belongs to them. It belongs to the promoter or it belongs to the government. So if you want to build ownership, you need to engage them in all aspects of the farmer producer organization. So I think it's very important that we, so I was talking about women leadership. So from APMA's experience, because we work with the women self-help groups and their federations, women have great understanding about group dynamics, negotiation, and about engaging with the market. So if they are in leadership positions in the farmer producer organizations, they can really make a difference. I'm not saying men should not be in leadership position, but I think maybe we should look at a 50-50, and that might really improve the quality and performance of the FPOs. We also feel that where possible, if we want to, kind of improve the pace of FPO promotion, then maybe the some of the most matured SHG federations in states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Orissa, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, they could promote FPOs. So in a way, the SHG federation becomes the promoter of the FPO, and that could be a very effective way of looking at this whole process. I also feel that the women leadership will give the dividend to the FPO, in the sense they already learned about bookkeeping, they already in the SCGs and federations, they already learned about legal compliances, they already know how to negotiate with the banks, they already know about how to negotiate with the market, and how, most importantly, how to work with the government, because the government in many states is a significant player when it comes to agriculture. So that's the reason why. So in a way, social capital available with the SHGs and federations must be tapped in making FPOs as vibrant business organizations. Capability, I think, we already discussed. The coordination, I think one of the idea that we have also seen having a lot of traction is FPO federation. I think in states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, to some extent Tamil Nadu, some beginning has been made in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. The federation of FPO, maybe at a cluster level, 5-10 FPOs come together and form a federation, on the principle of subsidiarity, so that what an primary FPO can do, the federation may not do, but the federation will take up some niche role to provide useful services to the member farmers. For example, our M Tomato FPO Federation, which is the Madanapalli Tomato FPO Federation, during the COVID times, they took responsibility to supply 2,000 metric tons of tomato to processing units around Madanapalli. And that created a huge amount of goodwill and visibility for the FPOs. So the M Tomato Federation, FPO Federation, played a leadership role. In the process, they also made some profit and shared a part of their profit with the member FPOs. So the federation, in that sense, is having institutional membership. 9 FPOs are shareholders in the federation. The Madanapalli Tomato Federation, which is registered as a producer company, whereas the members are, some are max and some are producer companies. They have around 7,000 members and moving forward to almost to have 10,000 members. And at the federation level, they have a share capital or a capital of around 25 lakh rupees. And at the 9 FPO level, everything put together, they now deal with a capital of almost 1 crore rupees. They also got some seed capital from the horticulture department. Some what we called as Green Innovation Fund was provided by APMAS under the partnership with the GIZ Germany. So in a way, that's something the Federation of FPOs could also take responsibility to make the FPOs, which are members of the Federation, vibrant and perform their roles effectively. So I would say, if we want to improve the quality, the viability, and the business sense of the FPOs, then there is an urgent need for strong incubation support to the existing FPOs. And there, I think women leadership can be very significant. Please, next slide. There are just a couple of other points that I want to mention about the M Tomato. Maybe Saumini, later I can share a profile of the M Tomato Federation, which you can circulate.
Sure.
So the M Tomato FPO Federation has a dealership of Coromandel fertilizers, and they also receive free on lorry fertilizers and cattle feed from the Andhra Pradesh Mark Fed, which has been approved by the government. So in a way, it is able to negotiate. They're talking now to Baramati, about supply of feed. So once they're able to use the economies of scale, they're able to get at much lower prices. For example, tarpaulins which are being supplied to the farmer, which are being sold to the farmers, they're able to get it at 1400 rupees or 1450 rupees. Whereas previously, when it was bought by the individual FPOs, it was bought at around 1700. So now the federation is able to buy 1000, 2000 tarpaulins, or maybe place an order for 100 sprayers or whatever they might be. So that economies of scale seem to be very effective. I also want to mention that when you have an FPO federation, then it gives an opportunity for the 9 FPOs to come together once in a month and learn from each other, share that experience, and in a way create that solidarity and create that sense of belongingness. And suddenly they feel more energetic. And I think the ownership among the board of directors also improves. On the new operational guidelines, in a way, I would say Government of India has been proactive about FPOs from the days of the SFAC formation. But I think one shortcoming of this new guidelines for the 10,000 FPOs is that the role of the state government is fairly marginal. And I think, in my opinion, state governments will have to have an important role to play. And what is happening with the existing FPOs, if you want to really promote new FPOs, and these are, if the existing FPOs are bad, not performing well, then farmers may not have motivation. The Madhya Bharat farmers are making pulp. Another 1,000 metric tons of fruits and vegetables agencies for production systems, so that they are farmer producer. Yeah, the next slide, please. I guess we also feel that this, but the NAFO is a National Association of FPOs. So I think, like I mentioned, there are FPOs, then there are yeah, doubling farmers' income. So I guess there are